Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the book The Kybalion and explaining each of the 7 Hermetic principles within it. So the book The Kybalion is a compilation of Hermetic teachings and Hermetic philosophy containing the 7 Hermetic principles. And the 7 Hermetic principles is the foundation of Hermeticism, which is a spiritual philosophy that dates back to the 1st century AD, but a lot of people think that it dates back further than this. The 7 principles were taught by Hermes Trismegistus, who is also known as the Egyptian god Thoth, who is also believed to have written the Emerald Tablets and the Corpus Hermeticum, which are 2 highly influential ancient teachings. In the Kybalion, it states that we shouldn't mistake our world, which is Earth, as the universe itself, because in all actuality, it's just a tiny little speck of dust, a little tiny grain of sand in the actual entire universe. There are millions upon millions of worlds and universes just like ours and greater underneath the infinite mind, or the all as it states it in the Kybalion. And for the rest of the video, I'm going to be referring to this infinite mind or God, source, the universe, whatever you want to call it, as the all, because that's how it states it in the Kybalion. Also in the Kybalion, it states that death is not real and it's only birth to new life, and you will go on and on to higher planes of existence for eternity. The universe is your home and the possibilities and opportunities are endless, and in the mix of all of this, you could feel safe and protected because you are by the infinite power of Father and Mother Mind. You can think of Father Mind as the infinite power or the all itself, and Mother Mind as the universe and nature. So with all that, we're going to jump into the first principle, which is the Principle of Mentalism, and it states that the all is mind and the universe is mental. This means that the universe is a mental creation or projection of the all. So basically, Father Mind creates Mother Mind, and we're all projections of this infinite all. There's no separation between us. We're all connected. Everything in our reality is mental, meaning that everything is energy. So without a thought, things wouldn't exist. The thought of something is very powerful because it's the foundation of how things are created. Without the thought of something, it simply would not come into creation. But even though the thought of something is the foundation, thought alone can't bring your manifestations to life. You need to align your thoughts with the feeling that it brings as well. If you don't feel something, it only remains a thought, because feeling inspires radical action, which allows you to bring your manifestations to life. Every thought or feeling you express or action you take is connected to all things, which brings us to the next Hermetic principle, which is the Principle of Correspondence. This principle states, as above, so below, as below, so above, meaning that there's always a correspondence between the universal laws and the planes of existence. What is above on other planes of existence is similar or exactly like what we're experiencing here on the mental plane or Earth. These other planes of existence are endless, but the ones that we're most familiar with are the mental, astral, and causal planes. So we mainly only know these 3 planes of existence because most of them are beyond our knowledge. And they're beyond our knowledge because as human beings, we're limited to the spectrum of visible light and audible sound. But even having a brief understanding of these planes can help you in your daily life. For example, if you don't focus much and have low energy in your spiritual life, this can manifest into physical symptoms and diseases in your body. Then when you start to improve your spiritual life and your faith, you'll see improvements in your physical body because it's all connected. So with this example, you see that you don't have to understand all planes of existence. You just have to know that they're all connected. And when you work on one, they all start to improve. I want you to really understand this, that you are a microcosmic universe in the macrocosmic universe. So the thoughts that we hold in our mind and the feelings that we hold in our body will manifest into the physical equivalent in our external reality. By understanding this principle, we can use it for our benefit instead of to our detriment. You are what you think, believe, and feel. This brings us to the next principle, which is the Principle of Vibration, and this states nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. So those who know about the law of attraction will be familiar with the core foundation of the Principle of Vibration. And to put it simply, there is no such thing as rest because everything is vibrating and manifesting in different ways, frequencies, and vibratory forms. This principle manifests on all planes, as does every other principle, but this principle in particular is what makes a difference on each plane of existence. The all, or one infinite mind, manifests a constant vibration at such an infinite speed that it seems to be at rest. So if you think of a spinning wheel, as soon as you start spinning it so fast, fast, it doesn't even look like it's spinning anymore. So the higher the vibration, the higher the position on the various planes of existence. So what we call matter and energy on Earth is just a vibration. So like it states in the law of attraction, like attracts like, it's really just vibration attracts vibration. So what we think, feel, and how we act is sending out a vibration. The universe is going to match that vibration, and then that's what we receive back. So if you're constantly feeling and thinking negatively, the universe is going to match that vibration, and you're going to get back more negativity in your life. So just as the all manifests at such an infinite rapid motion, raising our own vibration to higher levels can give us life-changing results. This is accomplished by polarizing our thoughts, feelings, and actions to what we desire, and this is where the next principle comes into play. So the next principle is the principle of polarity, and this states everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half-truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. The principle of polarity embodies the truth that everything in existence has two poles and everything has its pair of opposites. In between these two poles, there's millions upon millions of degrees of vibration. These opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. So if you think of a thermostat, hot and cold are both forms of temperature, but there's so many different degrees in between that we don't really know where cold truly stops and hot truly begins. The extremes of the poles are opposite and contradictory, but it's the underlying contrast that gives our reality meaning. If you really think about it, we need the opposite and it needs us, because if the opposite didn't exist, we wouldn't be able to experience gratitude and appreciation. Spirit, or the all, and matter, or our physical reality, are just two poles of the same thing. The only difference between the two is the degree of mental manifestation. It's just a matter of higher and lower vibrations, and the terms high and low are just two poles of the same thing. An example of polarity can be explained by using a simple battery. So there's two sides to the battery. One is the positive and one is the negative. So if you take one side of the battery away, the battery doesn't work. Another example of these poles or opposites would be the terms east and west, because if you traveled in an eastward direction, you would eventually hit that west starting point and vice versa. The pairs of opposites exist everywhere, and once you find one thing, you'll find its opposite, which is essentially the two poles. The fifth principle is the principle of rhythm, and this states everything flows out and in, everything has its tides, all things rise and fall, the pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. Closely related to the principle of polarity, the principle of rhythm states that in between these two opposing poles, there's a pendulum that swings and it's in permanent rhythm. The tides of the ocean move in and out. We inhale and exhale breaths, so everything is in constant motion and works in cycles. There's a pattern to the changes we experience, and everything goes through cycles from birth to death to rebirth. And just as nature has its seasons, we have our seasons as well in the mental, physical, and emotional parts of our life and our experience. The core idea of this principle is that there's a sense of predictability and inevitability attached to the rhythmic nature of all circumstances. This allows you to see circumstances for what they are and neutralize your mental state during moments that don't resonate with your desired outcome. Understanding this principle allows you to see the natural rhythms in your own life, but also in the universe as well. So we can learn how to use this principle instead of being used by it. The sixth principle is the principle of cause and effect, and this states every cause has its effect, every effect has its cause, everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for law not recognized. There are many plans of causation, but nothing escapes the law. So sometimes referred to as the principle of causality, this principle embodies the truth that there's a cause for every effect and an effect from every cause. This ultimately means that nothing merely happens for no reason. Everything happens according to the universal law, and nothing happens by random, so really there's no such thing as luck or chance. For every action there's a reaction, and depending on our unique perception, we'll see it as good or bad. While there are various planes of cause and effect, the higher planes dominate the lower planes. So the cause is on the mental plane, which is mentalism, and the effects take place on earth or the material world. For all things to come into manifestation, it must first start in the mind. Most people in life are the effects because they're carried along in life because of their obedience to their environment, outside influences, and also their internal moods and desires. When you rise above the material plane, you'll be able to dominate your moods and qualities as well as the environment surrounding you. Ultimately, you'll become a mover in the game rather than a pawn. And the last principle is the principle of gender, which states gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. This principle is often misquoted and misunderstood because on the physical plane, this principle manifests as sex, meaning male or female, and we attach a certain meaning to each, but this principle goes far beyond that. Gender is manifested in everything, but not the way that we think of it. No creation, whether physical, mental, or spiritual, is possible without the principle of gender. In the Kybalion, as I talked about before, the all is referred to as father mind and nature is referred to as mother mind. Mother mind births all of father mind's manifestations and allows us to experience the reality that we call home for the meantime. Mother mind allows father mind to live life by giving birth to new ideas. Father mind being masculine and mother mind being feminine are just two polarizing energies. So neither has a sex as we like to think of as masculine and feminine. We have this false notion of positive and negative energies because we like to associate the positive with all the good and the negative with all the bad. But if we look at the positive polarity as a masculine force and the negative polarity as a feminine force, then when we say all negativity is bad, we're associating all bad with feminine energy. This is where the feminine energy in all of us is demonized because if we express how we feel and express our emotions or cry, we're associated with being weak. But the feminine traits and feminine energy include passivity, emotionality, empathy, and nurturing. Then the masculine traits include assertiveness, aggression, rationality, and independence. Let's use the battery as an example again. So we already stated that there's both a positive and negative side to the battery, and without both, it wouldn't function properly. Now let's take it a step further and say that we're going to put that battery into a flashlight. So if we cut off either the positive or negative side of the battery and we put it into the flashlight wouldn't turn on. Symbolically, the light from the flashlight represents something good that was going to come into the world, but because we cut off either the positive or negative side, there isn't a balance and the light from the flashlight can't shine. We need to understand that energy itself is neutral. Positive and negative seems to be two different things when it comes to polarity, but the energy underneath is neutral and is creating everything in existence. When you reject and resist all negativity, which is essentially a new age practice, you're really just cutting yourself off of half of understanding the world and ultimately who you are. When we don't focus on the negative, we're really just cutting ourselves off of that sacred feminine energy within us that we need to grow throughout life. When we have too much masculine energy, we become reckless and lose our perspective on life. But on the other hand, when we have too much feminine energy, we become people pleasers and we're very passive and don't take action. So the path of enlightenment is really just balancing these two energies within us, both the masculine and feminine. If we think of the yin yang symbol, it shows a delicate balance between each, both the masculine and feminine energies within us, and each is irreplaceable within each other. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you learned more about the 7 Hermetic principles, and there's also a lost 8th principle I made a video on, and you can click here to watch. Comment down below if you have heard of these principles before, and also if you have applied any to your life. And as always, if you guys want to see more of my videos, click here, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out, guys.